Um, Hi, everybody. My name is Timohir Surdilovic. I am a developer on jBPM. And here we're going to talk about web-based business process management with jBPM5. We're first going to talk what is BPM, what is web-based BPM. We're going to give an introduction to jBPM version 5. And we're going to introduce the jBPM5 web-based tooling that we currently have available. The meat of this talk is going to be a live demo, so hopefully the internet here is going to play nicely with us. And at the end, I will present a roadmap, which is a roadmap specific to the jBPM5 web-based tooling. So let's start off with the introduction. When we talk about business process management, what is a business process? And you can think of it as a set of some activities that you can present visually. And we want to be able to execute these activities in some sort of order and fashion in order to accomplish some goals or business goals that we have. What are the goals of BPM? Well, really, there are three things that stand out. There is control, visibility, and one that I think is the most important is continuous improvement. So when we talk about control, we want to be able to control how we model our business processes and how we execute our business processes. And we also want to be able to control and have control during the execution of our business processes because not all of them are fully automated. The second thing we talk about is visibility. We cannot keep our business processes internal to our team, number of people that know them, understand it. We want to be able to expose our business processes to the public and pretty much the world. But in order to do that, first we have to do one thing, and this is the abstraction of the existing business processes, which currently can be scattered throughout your systems and throughout different representations, such as some different web services, databases, XML, and even code, business process logic embedded in your code. And at that point, we want to abstract that out in some sort of common and unified representation and also location. But if we do that and then present our business processes to the public and they don't understand that, then we haven't accomplished anything yet. So what we want to do is also define a common language that both on the visual and also on the underlying representation side of our business processes that the public that we expose our business processes understand very nicely. Once we do that, once we have visibility, once we have a large number of users be able to participate in our business processes and able to understand them very easily, we have a very high chance of this continuous improvement final goal to happen. When you deal with BPM, you don't create your business process or one or a number once and then you can go on vacation. We are dealing with a life cycle. We want to continuously move along some sort of life cycle in order to improve what we currently have and be able to make it better in the future. And through that, you have some sort of life cycle. This is just an example that has 4 steps: modeling, deployment, execution, and monitoring. But you and within your business can define some sort of life cycle that makes most sense to you. And it also shows that you have different types of participants, different types of people that have different understanding level, technology level, things like that can participate during each steps of the BPM life cycle. Now, what is web-based BPM? Business process management, of course, has been around for years. It is not something new. But when we think traditionally about BPM systems, we think about large-scale applications that require a ton of hardware. They're very monolithic. Those are applications that are very IT-centric. And really, once we deploy these types of systems, that's pretty much what we have for years. With web-based BPM, what we're trying to do is converge our BPM goals with the web in order to achieve highly modular, reusable, and I think most important, reconfigurable systems. So what we want is lightweight, plug-and-play things that are going to last us for a long time and that we, as a business, are able to reconfigure as we move along, as technology moves along, and we'll be able to use them for a long time in the future. Now, so we want building blocks, as you see over there, a couple of Lego blocks. Now, there are different types of complexity levels of these business blocks. As you will see with jBPM5, for example, out of the box, you get modularity on the component level. So the way we're structured jBPM5, out of the box, you can, for example, take the human task implementation that we ship by default and replace it with something else that you have in-house or things like that. And that is true for most all the modules except where we see the core process engine, which is very lightweight, and you pretty much have to use that. But as far as tooling, as far as human task system, stuff like that, it's all pluggable. We can go a level down and talk about services. There is a number of existing or services that are existing or that we want to provide in the future that we want to make part of our business process management life cycle. So even then, we can define some reusable components, such as REST services, JavaScript APIs. One example is some Twitter interaction, things like that, that we can do that. Even below that, we can define reusable components during the modeling of our business process life cycle, such as reusable sub-processes. So those are somewhat independent entities that you can basically plug into your business process and do some sort of certain functionality. Those are fine, but we can also define modularity on the construct level. So one good example for that is error handling. By itself, error handling is not useful at all. However, once you take error handling and plug it into your business processes, they bring a lot of value to that. And we can even go down to task forms. Task forms is a way for users, human interaction during the business process execution that provide input screens, whether they be web-based or whatever, to your business processes and allows human actors to interact during the execution of your processes. So why even do we care about web? Well, web has some certain characteristics that are important for BPM. And this one everybody, I think, knows. The web is the medium for collaboration, right? And we already said we want to make our business processes visible and understandable, and we want collaboration between our users in order to achieve continuous improvement. And one of the things here that I have shown the pictures are some pictures, some features or web-based tooling that, there are not all of them, but some that contribute and take advantage of some of these web features. For example, in our Drools Guvnor web application, we have the ability for different users to collaborate using discussion comments. In our web-based BPM Designer, we have ability to share certain information about a process, such as the process image and things like that on blogs or email or you name it. This one feature on the bottom right of the screen is called locking and unlocking. So as you have multiple participants model your business processes, you can say, fine, this part that is the blue nodes are locked. That means they're no longer editable. We have at this point completed fully our business process. At that point, let's start collaborating how we can work on the rest of our business process that needs to be modeled. Another thing that web is great at is something called Meshups. And we talked about existing services such as REST, JavaScript, RSS feeds. We got so much information available. Let's start to incorporate that into our business processes. And we can do that very easily. And this is an example, again, of the jBPM5 Web Designer, where we can connect to a remote service repository. And this service repository can provide some sort of entity, some sort of things for us. In this case, service nodes. And service nodes are in jBPM5 used for domain-specific processes. So a lot of times you don't want to model, for example, a video uploader, in this case it's a service node, or some sort of reward system integration if you have existing integration with current systems. So what we can do, basically connect somewhere where this is available, install it, and start using it right away within our model. And of course, we want to leverage mobile. We want to have access to the cloud. We want to be able to have our business processes, our tooling, and expose them to the wide audience as possible. Now, another thing we have on the web is a wide variety of tools, technologies, that allow us to create very rich user interfaces. And we can take advantage of that. For example, you can see in our web tooling, our process editor, we use JavaScript, we use Ajax, and that allows us to really do cool, like, for example, visual process validation, which is instant, as you're modeling. And on the right side, you can see even within our task forms, our process forms and user task forms, which are input forms, as we said, for users to interact with the business process execution, we can use really cool stuff like, again, Ajax we can use. In this case, in the live demo, we'll see a use of the Google Video Search API, a YouTube video feed and things like that. And we can really make that part of what we're doing. And all of our web-based tooling that we will talk about here in a minute is deployable on AS7, of course, and is also deployable, as we'll see, on OpenShift as well. So we have fast deployment and startup times. So if we want to go and start using web-based BPM, what do we have to think about? Marketing is really smart. They divide business users over here, developers over here, and they make a very clear distinction between the two. However, with the goals of BPM, which is exposure, visibility, understanding, we oftentimes do not know who our users are going to be. However, they have a very important role because input from anybody is very important. And if we want to do continuous improvement, we have to give everybody, no matter what the level of technology level, what the title is, the ability to participate and allow us to have this continuous improvement. So in my opinion, what's really important for web-based BPM is this gray area between the business user and the developer, meaning that we want to be able to give everybody some opportunity, regardless of who they are, to be able to use our tooling and to be able to participate in our BPM efforts. And these are just two of the examples. In our web-based editor, we have something called a process dictionary. Typically, you start off your BPM process from some sort of requirements, whether it be text or some files that you create. And from this, for example, on the right-hand side, we have the process documentation, which is plain text, out of which we can extract terminology, which gets added to our process dictionary. At that point, anybody that is participating in our modeling of our business process can use a very common and same language and be able to enforce that. On the right side, we know that also we have very technical people using, participating in this life cycle of BPM. So we give things like API auto-completion, color coding, things like that that make developers and very technical people also familiar and things they understand and like to use as well. Now, the web is not a development environment right now. I really think that, honestly, in the next couple of years, that will change drastically. So because it is not a development environment, we have to have tooling support that allows us to go from a simple idea to some sort of graphical representation or business model to an executable business process without writing any code. And zero code is in quotes because right now it is a dream yet. We always have some sort of coding involvement, especially during creation of executable business processes. But this is kind of where we're getting into. And if you see here on the left, all of our jBPM5 tooling, that would either be web-based or Eclipse-based, understands BPM 2.0. And as you model graphically your process, we can dynamically generate BPM 2.0, which is the underlying representation of our business processes. So you don't really have to ever edit that, but you can view it, and it's nicely color-coded. And on the other side, instead of having to type this XML, which is BPM2, to define something like process variables, to define assignments, things like that, we do provide or try to provide some widgets that are intuitive for you to basically point and click instead of having to write code, things like that. All right, let's talk a little bit about jBPM. After this presentation, the jBPM5 lead, Chris Verlainen, is going to get a lot deeper into this. So we're going to kind of do a small overview. What is jBPM and jBPM5? Well, at JBoss, jBPM does all the things BPM. And we support, of course, the entire BPM life cycle And I forgot to say, of course, we're open source. That's a given. All our tooling, all our code, everything that we give you is completely open source, just like anything else JBoss. Our process engine, which is itself an embeddable component, it natively supports BPM 2.0 specification. And as a small, lightweight, embeddable component, it's very well suited to be deployed on web applications and to be used there. And we have tooling support on both the website that we will concentrate this time, and also Eclipse-based tooling you have available as well. Now, one of the things that distinguishes jBPM5 is a very tight and powerful integration with Drools, of course, and that gives us rules and also CEP, event processing capabilities, that are typically harder to achieve without this tight integration between the two projects. Here we see a picture. Again, jBPM is very modular, plug and play, and the components in blue are the ones that we're going to talk about here and focus on, which are the jBPM console, the Guvnor repository, and the Web-based Designer, which are all web-based applications. So let's kind of go through them real quick. The first thing we'll talk about is Drools Guvnor, and it's a fully web-based application that provides one very important piece. It is basically the glue. It provides a central repository of all our knowledge assets. So whether we're doing rules, whether we're doing processes, whether we're serving static content, no matter what kind of assets and things are part of your modeling, execution of business processes, this provides a centralized storage of that. And of course, it has a lot of what we talk about user-friendly type of widgets to create rules, decision tables, things like that. And the jBPM5 other tooling, such as the Web-based Designer and the jBPM console, really utilize, and the Drools Guvnor is really the glue, as both of them use this centralized knowledge repository, talk to each other. And that is even the case with the Eclipse-based tooling. All of our tooling has the ability to communicate via decentralized storage. Now, the second thing we're going to look at also in the demo is the jBPM5 Web Designer. And again, it is a fully web-based application. It is very, again, lightweight, and it allows you to model, create, modify executable business processes. So this is not only about modeling. It's not about creating pretty pictures on the web. Everything that you create within the Web Designer, it focuses on creating executable business processes that are executable in jBPM5. And it has a ton of functionality, a lot that we will see in the demo that is pretty cool. But one of the things that is kind of interesting about the Web Designer, it has a JavaScript public API. And you can, as client applications, embed this in your own applications and utilize things like the JavaScript API to really control what the editor does from the outside. The third thing is our jBPM console. And again, it is a fully web-based application for managing, for execution, and also monitoring. So you have the ability to start your business processes, stop, signal your business processes. It has interaction with the human task service, so you can see task views, for example, inspect what kind of, what is going on currently in the process and stuff like that. It itself has a REST interface that our demo is going to also utilize, so you can start controlling the execution of your business processes through client applications, for example, your own. So going back, now we looked at all the tooling. How does it tie back to this BPM life cycle? Well, as you can see, we pretty much cover the whole thing, at least this life cycle example here. For deployment, of course, Drools Guvnor with Drools Guvnor, we have the ability to expose our knowledge assets as some grouping to client applications via HTTP. During modeling, of course, we have different Designer for BPM processes, Guvnor for rules and decision tables and this type of stuff, and also many other things. Execution, we have the jBPM console, and monitoring, we will see in the demo how we use the console and also Drools Guvnor as well. So that was it for the slides. I'm going to start with a demo now. And just in case the internet is flaky here, I first have a couple of slides to describe this demo. Our demo is a video submission process. So what it is, we have a website here on the right. We created a little mobile application called the jBPM video channel. It's a mobile app that we will look at. And it presents some videos. The process is basically we have submitters who find either existing videos on the web or upload their own video related to some jBPM or Drools or whatever they're interested in. They submit this video to, let's say, our team or some of us who are approvers. And the approvers are able to say, fine, this video is related to this, we really like it, and we want to upload it on the jBPM video channel mobile application. Oops. Go back. Sorry. Some of the requirements that we have, number one thing, since this is web-based BPM, we want to be able to do everything with the web-based tooling of jBPM5. Another thing, that's why I said hopefully the internet connection is well, we're going to see these meshups when we talk about web-based characteristics that are important. So we're going to have live feeds, and we're going to accumulate these live feeds to present something important to our approvers. We're going to show also notifications. So we don't just use the browser. Anything that has network access, for example, IRC-based clients, we can utilize those as well to be participating during the business process execution. And we're going to have modularity, what we've shown on the task form level. So we will show how to create really cool input screens or these task forms using modules that we call form widgets. Just to go, this is the process that we'll be creating. Given the time, we're going to start creating it and see how far it takes us. I do have already existing process of this demo that we're going to start running. But this is basically it. And this really shows you, this is created with the jBPM5 Web Designer tool. And the process is started here, and it goes to a parallel gateway. The parallel gateway then branches out in two directions. One direction is this timer node, and we have some sort of information, text annotation to describe what they do. But the reminder is timer is going to fire on 1-minute intervals and see if there is any pending task for the particular user, which is the approver. And it's going to use a service node, in this case, an IRC bot, to notify us on IRC, hey, you have some pending task going on, go ahead and act upon it. On the other branch, we have a human task, which is basically requires human interaction of the video approver. And the video approver can then view the video, you will see some information, and then make a decision. And the decision is either approved or not approved. If it's denied, we just stop the process for this demo. If we approve this particular video, we again use two service nodes. One is the video uploader service node that knows how to interact with the jBPM video channel application, the mobile one. And also it's going to present the approvers with the view of this application because they may not now have a mobile device handy in a web-based iPhone simulator. So these are some of the forms that we're going to create. On the left-hand side, we see the user task form for the submitter. This is shown when the submitter starts the BPM or demo process. And on the right-hand side, we see the task form for the approvers. So they have the ability to view the submitted video, to watch it, to really make sure it is safe. For example, you get all kinds of stuff from YouTube, for example. Then we do a mashup. We call a couple of feeds, some RSS feeds and an XML feed to present information about this particular video that's submitted. And the approver can add a comment and then either make the decision. This what we'll see is the IRC bot that is going to be triggered to kind of tell the approvers, hey, you still have some work going on. All right. Let's now do the cool stuff. This, by the way, is the jBPM5 video channel mobile app. It just uses jQuery mobile. I know it's a long URL, but if you have a mobile device and you want to type it in, that will be kind of cool to see. I'll leave it up here for a little bit if any of you guys want to do that. We'll go on. All right. So what I have here is the Drools Guvnor web application. We talked about a central knowledge repository. So we have something called a division called knowledge bases. Under knowledge bases, we have something called packages, which are just namespaces, some sort of grouping of our assets that we can group some sort of logical manner that makes sense to us. And each package can create any type of knowledge assets. So in this case, we have some processes, we have some documentation, we have some work items or service node configurations that we might have. But this can be Spring configurations, this can be whatever you really want. Another thing each package you can do is the building of our knowledge assets and exposure to our client applications. So we see here we can build our package, create something called snapshots, things like that. We have, this goes with the deployment step of business process management. So what I'm going to do is we do have a demo process. This is kind of what we're going to fall back on. But I'm just going to, for now, create a BPM2 process here. Called my process. And we're going to create it in this default package. It doesn't really matter what you call it. And what this is going to do, this is the integration between our web-based tooling, which is important. Our process editor, or jBPM5 Designer, is integrated as an asset editor in Drools Guvnor. And start up. OK, here we go. So when you edit, create, modify, whatever, BPM2, so business processes in Drools Guvnor. Drools Guvnor is smart enough to know, hey, I need to load our jBPM5 Designer. And this web application is drag and drop most like, pretty much. You have on the left-hand side, you have a shape repository. This includes different types of BPM2 constructs. Let's take a look under start events. You have different types of start events. Now, important thing is, again, the web-based tooling is about executable business processes. So a lot of big parts of BPM2 deal with modeling. And this is not a modeling tool. Every construct that you see in the palette on the left, all the BPM2 constructs, are constructs that the jBPM5 runtime understands. So we have nothing that you can draw and does absolutely nothing, even though if it's some sort of executable construct. We do have support for like swim lanes and text annotations and groups, so some sort of metadata, but those really have absolutely nothing to do with the execution semantics of your business processes. So what user can do, if you start off, you can just start dragging and dropping that onto your canvas. And what we have basically now is, if I remember correctly, from the start node, we come to a parallel gateway. As you can see, we do have some usability features to allow you not to always have to drag and drop. You can change things kind of easier, so change the type of this gateway from an XOR to a parallel one. We have then, I believe it was a timer node, so we have a timer immediate event that we can drop and then simply connect this to. And then we need this IRC bot. We need the service node that is responsible to notify our approvers of pending user tests. But we don't have this available. I don't know where it is. So this is kind of where the integration with our service repository comes in. So this is basically a URL that you can type. It can be your own defined service repository, or we in jBPM5, we're going, we have currently a service repository. It's something that is important for the next release to add as many of these service nodes as possible. So if I can spell here. I do have my own service repository. And once I connect to it, I get a list of service nodes that I can install very easily. You can define your own. If you want to define these yourself that make most sense to your business, you can do that as well. So now we need this PRC bot here. We just double-click on it. It's going to install it locally in our Guvnor central repository. And it says, OK, successful. And we can start using it. Under service task here, there it is. We drop it, and there you go. And we can start connecting our timer tasks to it. And it's that really easy to do that. And you can really define really domain-specific processes very easily and provide your clients or your users with some predefined service nodes that are for your business. Now, how do we deal with inputs and outputs? Each of the service nodes has some sort of data inputs. These are the inputs that, for example, the IRC bot takes in. One of them is a message. So what are we actually sending to the approvers? Who do we send it to? And what is the IRC channel that we're going to utilize? So just to show off this, we have in BPM2 something called assignments. And we have guided widgets that allow you to create assignments. And for example, our channel, we can just say, well, I want this channel called my demo channel. This is an IRC channel on Freenode or wherever you might want to connect to. And we're going to send, let's say, the message to myself. And the message is going to be, hello, you have pending tasks. And that's pretty much it. This is the simple assignment. But we can also do mapping, and I will show you that as well, how we deal with that. And that's it. And now, if we want to see what we actually did, we can view the BPM2 of each individual node, right? So just by doing these three things that you saw, installing a service node, defining the inputs and the assignments, this you would have to do manually. And that's where we kind of go zero code type of stuff. You can also see simpler things that make more sense, just the start node elements, and this is actually readable. And we have color coding and stuff like that. Or if you want to really, you can view the entire process BPM2, which gives you everything that you need. Now, you do not have the ability to edit that manually yet. There was just no need for that. All right, so kind of continue from here. We have something called the user task. By default, the tooling just shows you a normal task. We can change the task type here to user task. This becomes a human task automatically for you. And the important thing here now I want to show you is the naming. I already have a process dictionary defined, I believe. This is our process dictionary. And one of, all right, this is number 11 here. That is an entry that describes what this user task should do. So what we can do simply is when we name, as you can see, our tooling contacts this dictionary and gives you already some of the items that you can start using in there as well. All right, this is just an example. And now what do? We have to create something called a process form. Typically in tooling, you have separate tooling of your modeling tool. You have a separate tool that creates the task forms and the process forms, and typically they don't work together very well. Within the jBPM5 tooling, we have the ability, something that we call inline form editing. Oh, I have to specify a task name, which is kind of cool. So let's call it my approval task. At this point, we know what form to create. So while we're modeling, we can start creating the user task form for this particular task. We have different modes. We have the mode, this is the code mode, and this is also preview mode. And one of the things I do wanted to show you is how easy it is. You can have your designers, your developers, things like that, create modular, what we call form widgets, and they're presented here in a drop-down. So what I can do is basically come here and say, well, I really need this approved video widget at this point. I can simply drop the code in there, right? I don't have to know what it really does or how HTML works or how JavaScript works. And I have the ability to preview this right away while I'm modeling my business processes. So I think this is something that's very interesting. We do also have in jBPM5 another project called the Form Builder, which is going to be enhanced and is pretty good right now. And this might replace that. But we will keep this notion of inline form editing, being able to create both your model and all of your inputs and outputs and your screens without leaving your workspace. So the same thing is we can do for the process form. So we can start dropping in widgets. Like, for example, we want the submit video widget. And we also can come back here and somewhere in our code. You know, there is a little currently technical knowledge required. We can drop in our the video category widget. We can drop in, I have, you know, it's kind of what it is, some virtual keyboard that allows users to use their mouse to enter information in the form rather than having to type their keyboards. They typically don't have, sometimes they don't have access to and things like that. All right, so we've kind of created a process form. What else can we do? Well, at this point, we can say, OK, where am I at? And you see a lot of red stuff. This is called visual validation. We do have a number of rules. This is, for example, expanding a lot in our tooling. And we're adding more and more as our community is saying, hey, you're not checking for this. You're not doing that. And you don't have to save your process or create the BPM into. A lot of tooling that you see out there, you have to save some file. And then you have an offline task to convert the process information, which could be stored in some proprietary format, into BPM2. No, we are validating BPM2 right there. So we have, see here, we have, it couldn't find a process image. We're going to generate that. And we don't have an end node. In this case, you know, node has no outgoing connections. So it's really kind of a guided thing. We try to guide users throughout their modeling of your business processes in order to come to a better result. You know, so we have things like that. Another thing that we have, which the business users like, is define, not only can we define a language, that is only a part of it through the process dictionary. Colors actually play a huge role in BPM modeling, right? So we have the ability to change the color themes as well. And you have the ability to define your own color themes that make sense for your type of particular business. It could be some colors that represent your company or things like that. Or accessibility. You want to use colors because we are exposing our business process to a wide variety of users. A lot of them need accessibility help. So some colors is one way to allow many different types of participants to help us improve our business processes in the future. All right. Now what do we do? One thing I did want to show is we talked earlier about the web and how web is very good with sharing information, right? So one of the things that I did want to do is show you how we can share things. And let me just see, a lot of times, let me just put an end node here just for the sake of it. Actually, what I'm going to do for now, I'm going to switch to the demo process because I just, you know, yes, okay, we can delete this, and let's start open the one that we're actually going to work with, and we can do some cool stuff with that. Just takes a second. So there it is. One of the things I wanted to show you is how we can share stuff. let's say you want to share this process image with the world, put it in some blog, or send it to your boss via email. We do have some tooling that allows you to do that whenever it feels like it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this image, which is an embedded image, and put it in an email, or in this case, an HTML file. And at this point, what we can do is here is our process image. So we have ability to do that. I know we're adding more and more stuff to it, and your input is very important. Now, another thing that you can do is kind of go a little bit beyond just static stuff. We want to share the entire process. And let's say you have some guy in wherever he lives, and you want to say, hey, I really need your help real quick. Can you help me with completing my business process? You can do stuff like this. All right? You can embed the entire editor in your client application. And I think Esteban is over there. You guys should clap for him for that. And so this is a very powerful feature and that you can do, things like that. Another thing that is, if you guys are starting using jBPM5, we do provide ability for process migration. This is just a tool that it's in beta state currently, but we do have means to have generic conversion between JPDL to BPM 2.0. And you guys can try it out and see how it goes. Other things that we talked about is, we can lock things. Locking and unlocking just works like that, things like that. We have many other features. But what I want to do now is start executing this business process. So for that, as we said, we go to our jBPM5 console. All right. I'm going to log in. This is another just web application. It's very similar to Guvnor as far as the layout goes currently. On the left-hand side, we have some navigation and functionality. On the right-hand side, there is a screen that presents important information. We can, by just deploying our process, building our process in Guvnor, jBPM console is able to detect that and tell us, hey, we have two business processes. The one that we're concerned about is the demo, and we are at version 1. And then we're able to basically say, OK, I'm going to start this process. And yeah, I really do want to start it. And what that's going to do is going to open the process task form. This is the task form as me as a submitter of the video. I want to submit a video that I found. So I'm going to say who I am. And by default, I search by YouTube channels because I'm scared. Even my kid is 6 years old. I don't let her use YouTube. Sometimes you get stuff that is not good. So I'm going to, for this demo, just so I don't look weird later, I'm going to just search my own YouTube channel. And at this point, we're dealing with rich user faces. We're using the Google Video Search API to pull information from the YouTube channel that we just typed in. And we're able to use JavaScript, again, to create a rich client interface where we're going to see all the videos that are available on my channel. And before I submit, I just want to be cautious. I'm going to play this video, right? So you can do that as well. There's no need. You guys can watch this later. So I'm going to say I want this last video, let's say. And then I have to choose a category. And again, we're using some sort of Google JavaScript API here to present a tree visually. In this case, OK, this is a jBPM Designer video, and I'm going to submit this. At this point, our process is running, right? But where are we? And let's see where we are. And for that, we can click on the diagram button. This uses the process image that we generate with our tooling. So both our web-based tooling and the Eclipse-based tooling has the ability to generate the process PNG image. And we can see that currently we are at 2 places. We're waiting for the user interaction for the approver in our human task. And we're at the timer. So the timer is our IRC bot. So let's come here. Let's see if I can move this a little bit. All right. And we said it's going to fire in 1 minute and on 1 minute intervals. So while we're doing that, let's see our instance data. Now there's some errors, but forget about it. This is community, right? So we can see stuff like the group, the category that we submitted, the submitter that we typed in, so we can see the process information that is currently available. Let's hide this. All right, so here we have the demo bot, which is the IRC service node, has logged into this My Demo IRC channel, and is telling me T. Surdilovic. How does it know I'm T. Surdilovic? Because we've typed the name as the submitter of the video. You have pending video approvals. Let's see if that's really true. If I go to task, if I go to personal tasks, here is actually the human task. In this demo, the submitter is the approver. That's pretty much what it is. But of course, you can leverage things like LDAP and things to create your own user base and make this a lot more production-like. Now, let's say I am currently at JUDCon. I do not have time to do this, right? I'm giving a presentation. But first thing I can say is, let's see. I think it's show info. Whoa. What was it? I forgot. All right. Show details. So our IRC bot is not just stupid. It is a little bit smart. So we can say, demo bot, show me the details of my pending user task. This is going to actually connect to our jBPM5 console using the REST API that he has, and retrieve some information and present it. So we have a task. It is assigned to me, but it has a priority of 0. And I'm currently not available, and there is other people on my team currently, and somebody is probably working in some time zone. And I want somebody else to act upon it. I don't have time. So I can say demo bot release all. This is just another command. And it's going to tell me I have released this task. It is no longer yours. All right? So let's see if that, again, is true. All right. But where did it go, right? Well, it went in this group task bucket. And now all of the people on my team, the Drools and jBPM team, that want to approve this task can do it. So let's just, for the sake of now, we can go here and claim our task. So that means, yes, I do want to approve it. And here it is in my personal task. And I can say view. All right. Now, what we have done is, again, we have contacted YouTube. And we have contacted, I believe, 2 different services. One gives the information in XML. Another one, I can't remember anymore what I did here. But we have taken services from the web, combined the information, and made something important and useful in our business process. So again, I can here view this video to see, OK, I'm the approver. Let me see what actually got submitted. I can see the information. This is the live information. I did not hard code this. And I can see, well, if I have a lot of dislikes, I probably don't want to approve this video. In this case, of course, we can say this is fine or great, whatever I did before, and say approve. Now, let's see first what happened before I come here. 2 things happened. Since we approved our submission, our process has executed the video uploader service item. So that took the video and uploaded it into the jBPM mobile channel application. The second thing that happened is our iPhone simulator is basically Java 6 desktop API that opened up in our browser for the approver a little web-based iPhone simulator showing what the jBPM video channel website looks like. So in case this is broken or the link doesn't work or whatever, the approver can go and start raising hell or execute another business process, which is the retrieval of the submission, right? And if we go back to the web view of our channel, here is the channel that we uploaded, and we click on it, and you can view it or whatever. Let's go back to this. All right, let's talk about the web tooling roadmap. There is a lot of stuff to do. We want to enhance the usability of our tooling. We want to create more of these form widgets out of the box that you guys said, so that it becomes something very useful. We want to add custom data input editors, so you can define an input editor that you find is important for different types of data inputs that you want to do. Things like simulation and replay is a huge topic, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot about it, both from the jBPM and the Drools side. We want to enhance our presence in the cloud and also on the mobile side. Social modeling, social BPM is a big topic right now that I don't think anybody really knows what it is and what it will be currently, but that's something that we're going to try to tackle, especially in our web-based tooling, because I think it's very appropriate. And we're constantly extending on the jBPM5 runtime engine support for more and more, or a bigger part, or a bigger subset of the BPM and 2.0 specification. And as that is happening, we want in our tooling to reflect that as soon as possible. So everything that the engine can do, you should be able to utilize that in the jBPM5 tooling, both web and the Eclipse. So both were being worked on. Don't forget on Friday, if you have time, there is a Drools and jBPM all-day event. It is free. You can just come, and all of us will be there. And you can ask questions, code with us, whatever you want to do. And this is just some information about jBPM and where you can reach us and where you can get more information about jBPM. That's all I had. Thank you. If you have any questions.